Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we're going to be looking at some very bizarre drama involving the Devil May Cry series on Netflix. So a lot of people are doing a complete 180 on this series after seeing the executive producer of the show, Shankar, interact with the one and only Roach King himself. Now, we talked about this series a few days ago and a lot of the reasons fans are disappointed with it. If you want a further breakdown of that, I suggest watching my previous video. But to make this very short for the purpose of this video, basically people were criticizing the plot of this series that seems to have nothing to do with the spirit of Devil May Cry. Also, it's very corny. It's basically an American invasion of hell where the demons are actually the misunderstood good guys. And on top of that, there was also a lot of safe edginess to it, right? They were mocking religion, but in particular Christianity. And this is something that Adi Shankar said on Twitter that he would not do, which of course turned out to be a lie because basically they randomly insert Christianity into the series and attach it to the bad guys just to basically say religion bad. And also people are looking at Shankar, the executive producer, as I said, and he's just kind of a cringe guy. Okay, there's really no other way of saying it. A lot of people like to clown on him for stuff like this. However, that was the criticism we talked about the other day. But now Shankar is doing something kind of wild. Over the past day or so, he's really been throwing himself out there. And basically, a lot of the people who were defending his show, basically to own the chuds, are now doing a 180 on him and completely abandoning him and calling him all sorts of terrible things. Why did this happen? Well, he started to interact with Asmongold. He began with this 2 days ago, just posting a wall of screenshots with different faces made by Asmongold. Like, the internet is just a great place sometimes. But that, of course, was capped off when he made this much more direct tweet with a screenshot of Asmongold in a character from the first episode of the Devil May Cry series. Now, the connection here is obvious. He is making it very clear that this character was inspired by Asmongold, and this is something that was shared in the Asmongold subreddit. Let's watch a small clip of this character in action here.
The corporatists that own it and their loyal propagandists in the news media want you to blame the Russians. How stupid do they think we are, folks? Huh?
This was a strike against God himself!
Carried out by a sophisticated network of terrorist demons from hell!
And you can see there, after he makes that little observation, he's mocked by late night show hosts and stuff like that. But here's the thing about this introduction of this character, clearly inspired by Asmongold. It seems to be complimenting him in many different ways. You know, besides the very favorable hairline they gave Asmongold for this character, he also kind of shows him in a way that's pretty positive, right? So he's saying something that seems outlandish in a conspiracy theorist type set of beliefs here, but it turns out he was right, and all the people laughing at him were wrong. And how many times have you seen Asmongold say something that people initially dismiss or laugh at, or they don't even take the time to read what he's saying, and they just simply say, go clean your room, Baldy, and then he turns out to be right in the end. So he's always been willing to be laughed at and mocked in the pursuit of saying something that is truthful. And I guess, like I said, this is somewhat of a compliment and something that was acknowledged by Shankar himself when Asmongold replied saying, I've never been more excited for a season 2 in my life. And he says they laughed at you and worshiped the late night talk show puppets who were built to distract them from the truth. Now the terrorist demons from hell are here. Keep spitting facts. Truth has a resonance. Now, this is a pretty interesting interaction. Didn't expect to see any of this happen. But now people are very upset because Shankar has interacted with the bad man. And now they have to get rid of him. They have to cut ties. They have to insult him because they were defending the show largely for political reasons. And now they feel betrayed by this man because he interacted with Asmongold. And I just want to show this first before we get into select replies and quotes. This is just 5 random replies in a row, not curated, not organized in any sort of a way, saying he's a hack, he's a loser, end your pitiful existence, are you stupid, game end yourselves. People were absolutely fuming about this simple interaction between these two men. And you can see the violent rhetoric immediately begins. This is pretty much always the case on the internet nowadays. This stuff is so normalized. This person said, you gotta blow your shit off clean. This person saying, we're not saying much, but posting a video of someone being beaten to death with a hammer. And of course, you start looking at some of these people, and this guy says in his profile, follow me on Blue Sky because this app is full of Yahtzees. Now that's interesting because by the logic these people always have, what do you call an app that's occupied by nothing but Yahtzees according to you? Exactly. And this person stays here and then also advocates for violence against someone because they interacted with someone they don't agree with politically. Who sounds like the real fascist here? I wonder. But anyways, there's more people saying stuff like this. Full force, hashtag R word, Adi Shankar. Here's another one saying, Shankar, sincerely, go F your own face with a cheese grater. Wow, they're getting very creative. But some people were just more direct, saying game end yourself. Very clean and precise. I guess that's a little better question mark than people getting into these very delusional, violent fantasies involving these two individuals. But this person makes a good point here, saying, you really are a joke. Not only did you manage to piss off actual Devil May Cry fans, but now you've pissed off more left-leaning fans that would have and were defending the show because of this singular tweet. And by the way, I don't buy this right-wing act you're doing. You are actively trying to play both sides and are failing miserably. Now, I don't really know how much of that last part is true. I've kind of looked through Shankar and like who he is as a person. He's all over the place. The people he interacts with, very polarizing directions of politics, whether they're popular with people and things like that. He's all over the place. And whether that's an actual act he's doing or just who he is, the end result is kind of pissing off everyone. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is for a lot of people. They see you interact with one person or do one thing they don't like politically, and you're done. They don't care about anything else. You've now basically traded sides. And in this case, it is true. I think a lot of left-leaning fans were the ones defending this show the hardest because they thought they were owning the chuds. And then he interacts with Asmongold, and they got to wipe their hands clean of this man. You can see quotes like this. Okay, yeah, I can't support this guy anymore. He's actually washed. This is all over an interaction on Twitter. Another person said, what an effing disappointment. I'm not going to say anything. Next one. Holy effing cringe. Keep politics out of the silly Demon Hunter game. You effing nerd. Yeah, let me translate this in another way. Keep politics I don't like out of this game in this franchise. That's what these people mean. They love politics when it's something they agree with in their whatever franchise they're watching, whatever piece of media. But when it's something they don't like, all of a sudden it's get politics out of here. Here's another one saying, well, not going to watch the DMC anime anymore. Effing hell. You know, if you're watching this, I would imagine you think pretty similar to what I'm going to say here. Be very happy that you're free of the chains that individuals like this have voluntarily applied to themselves. Imagine having to come out and publicly disavow a show because the man interacted with someone you don't like. You have to abandon your entertainment just because someone interacted with a person you don't like. That is a miserable and sad existence, and be glad you're not chained to those values like this person is all the time. But of course, at the end of the day, what is this really about? It's because he interacted with Asmongold, and they're just fuming about it, and they're projecting about it, and they're making crazy stuff up about not only Asmongold, but also Shankar as well. You can see that right here. This person saying, had no idea you were so pro-sexism and racism. Wow. Pandering to this mold-infested Yahtzee sympathizer in 2025. Like, are you okay, dude? You missed out on some other opportunities. You should have just shoved like transphobia in there, homophobia, just keep going. Ableism. You might as well just shove them all in if you're going to start making up crazy stuff about people in this context. Here's another one saying, Adi, no. I enjoyed your show and I think it was amazing. Don't be closer with that guy. You don't want to be J.K. Rowling male version. Well, I think it's safe to say this part will never happen because J.K. Rowling actually makes things instead of just throws money at things and calls himself a producer, but that's beside the point. But you see this right here in real time, like friend policing, like telling a stranger on the internet who they should or shouldn't interact with on Twitter. This is crazy behavior that belongs back in 2020, and that's where it should stay, because this stuff is exhausting. Here's another one saying, hey, can you not take charge of beloved franchises, then immediately go shoulder to shoulder on social media with transphobic, racist, Zionist grifters? Weird move, dude. Well, at least they added some new ones in here. We got Zionist. We got grifter as well. These words have lost all meaning whatsoever. I mean, press these people to ask them what a grifter is. They couldn't tell you. At the end of the day, they would just say, guy I don't agree with or guy I don't like. Here's another one. A very bizarre series of interactions here. You do realize he called Arabs third world monkeys, essentially. Essentially. It seems like you're the one who has the much more distasteful rhetoric here, but anyways, another user replies saying he's Indian, not an Arab. He doesn't actually understand politics like Netflix fans claim he does. Where they reply saying, oh, that makes sense now. Yeah, I've seen how Indians treat Arabs. F this guy and F his show. Oh my god. The anti-racist did it again. They managed to be more racist than the people they're accusing of being racist. This is absolutely phenomenal. This is also the consequence of an OnlyFans girl trying to chime in on this sort of stuff. Like, no one cares, dude. Like, you're making a fool out of yourself. You're making things up to try to basically get attention, and it backfires. You look insane. You look like an actual racist here, way more than anyone like Asmongold or Shankar. You're basically generalizing an entire group of people to try to besmirch Shankar because he's made the cardinal sin of interacting with a guy you don't like. And you also have to make up crazy phrases like this. The fact that this is even in your vocabulary tells me a lot about someone like this. But anyways, let's go to the next one. Cringe stuff like this used to get folks bullied off the internet. The West has truly fallen. That's a phrase that used to get you bullied. But anyways, you look at some of these users. Main account was banned for calling Elon a bitch. He/him pronouns just to piss off the retarded folks. Pronouns, jokes, or screenshotted bio equals I own you. Hashtag fella. Well, interesting. I'm convinced they're making these people in a lab. Like, you can't be serious, right? You literally can't be serious acting like this, dedicating an entire profile and bio to Elon Musk while desperately clinging on to his app and then having pronouns just to piss people off. Crazy life you're living. Here's another one saying you're such a effing loser. No one likes you except for incels. Fix your heart, man. This reminds me of like Southern Karens, like primarily Karens from the South. Well, they'll say like the meanest, most ugly stuff ever to you, and then they end it with, but I'll pray for you. That's exactly what this feels like. You're saying all this crazy stuff, and then you say, fix your heart, man. I think you need to pump the brakes a little bit here and stop getting so angry over this, and also the way this is phrased. It starts to feel a little bit like projection. I don't know about you guys. But anyways, that's just a small taste of the hundreds of users barking at Asmongold as well as Shankar over this situation. I can criticize this show, I can criticize Shankar and some of the stuff he does, but man, oh man, what an overreaction to a simple interaction and little cameo in the show. Like, it's absolutely insane how much people like Asmongold have completely broken the minds of people on social media. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.